you would pour your spirit out. You said that you would fall on sons and daughters. So like the rain, come drench us in love. Let your glory rush in like a flood. 'Cause we are fixed on this one thing, to know your goodness, to see your glory, and we're transformed by this one thing, to know your presence, to see your beauty.
Good morning. Y'all ready to worship? Y'all put your hands together. We have so many reasons to be thankful to God this morning. All right, let's sing it out. One ran into, I think the Savior, you healed my heart, you changed my name, forever free, I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Woo! 'Cause I thank God. church, every song we sing, and you never do. So I'll throw my hands and praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, not nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got one response. I've got just one move. With my arms stretched wide, I will worship you. So I'll throw my hands and praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, come on, my soul. Oh, come on, my soul. Oh, come on, my soul. So come on, my soul. Oh, don't you get shy on me. Lift up your soul. 'Cause you got a lion inside of those arms. Get up and praise the Lord. So come on, my soul. Oh, don't you get shy on me. Lift up your song. 'Cause you got a lion inside of those arms. Get up and praise the Lord. So come on, my soul. Oh, don't you get shy on me. Lift up your song. 'Cause you got a lion inside of those arms. Get up and praise the So I'll throw up my hands and praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king. Nothing for a heart singing hallelujah, hallelujah. I've got nothing else. I've got nothing else, Lord. But you're worthy. You're worthy of it all. God, we give you our praises. We give you our worship. Because above all else, you are worthy.
I'm gonna sing until my heart starts changing. Oh, I'm gonna worship till I mean every word. 'Cause the way I feel and the fear I'm facing doesn't change who you are or what you deserve. I give you my worship, 'cause you still deserve it. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy of my soul. I'll pour out your praises in blessing and breaking. You're worthy, you're worthy, Jesus, you're worthy of my soul. You are Lord. You are worthy.
I'm gonna live. King is risen. Gonna preach to my soul that you're already mine. And even though I can't see it, I'm gonna keep believing that every promise you made is as good as done.
I give you my worship. You still deserve it. You're worthy. You're worthy. Jesus, you're worthy of my soul. Pour out your praises in blessing and breaking. You're worthy. You're worthy. Jesus, you're worthy of my soul. You're worthy. You're worthy of my soul. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy of my soul. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy of my soul. You're worthy. When I sat by that hospital bed, you were worthy. And she could barely lift her head, you were worthy. And after all those tears were shed, you were worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. I'll never stop singing your praise.
In the blessing, in the pain, you are worthy. Whether you say yes or no, you are worthy. And through it all, I choose to say you are worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. No, I'll never stop singing your praise. Oh, I got this to your name.
Well, happy Mother's Day. So the sermon title today is Remember Lot's Wife and How She Didn't Listen to Her Husband. I'm not that crazy. I will not preach anything like that on Mother's Day or any other day. So, yeah, I don't know. It's all, possessed or something. Eric and them will be taking care of that. So anyhow, I did want to say, though, happy Mother's Day to everybody. How many of you mothers, you just sometimes feel like, I can't do this? Like, y'all going to be honest with me? Y'all going to act like y'all all floated in here? Look, next week, the message is on curses and strongholds and everything else. But this week, I just need you guys to be real and be like, look, there are times in my life that I just feel like I can't do this. Yeah. Look, as a dad, I feel like there's times I can't do this. Like more times than often do I feel like I can't do this rather than I'm a successful guy and I got all this and got all my stuff together. I mean, I know on the outside it may look like I have everything together, but on the inside, it's a jumbled mess. Like, have any of you mothers ever felt like you've been in that Mother's Day bumper? Like, I'm going to try to do this, and I'm going to try to do this, and I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to be the best mother ever. And just to start off and then be like, you know what? I just feel like such a failure because I can't do this. I mean, look, I do not envy a mom these days who is trying to be, you're trying to keep your home together. You're trying to work a job. You're trying to run kids to sports events and dance events and everything else that's coming on. Plus, you're trying to manage your personal time also. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm very fortunate as a husband. I did not change not one dirty diaper. I didn't. My wife did. And my wife tended to the children and stuff and still does. Like, I have the freedom to be able to pastor, I have the freedom to be able to work and everything. I'm very fortunate. And yes, we are live streaming this, so I'm going to keep going on that because she may be watching. I just am very fortunate for what I have. But I understand that, some mothers, especially nowadays, if you're a single mom, you're trying to hold everything together. And sometimes you just feel like you're not enough. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I get it. Some days you guys feel like you are superwoman. Like, I have gotten everything done. The clothes is done. The dishes are done. Food was made. The kids have clean clothes for tomorrow, and they're all in bed by midnight. Hey, I am a success. But oftentimes it's like we're not enough. And those times that we feel like we're a success are far and few in between, and I get it. We live in a crazy world. We do. We live in a fast-paced, crazy world, and don't slow down because somebody will run you over. But it seems like, to me, the world's just getting even crazier. Anybody else feel that way? Like, it is getting nuts. Like, there was a 14-year-old girl got shot for playing hide and seek in her subdivision because she was hiding on somebody else's property. Like, when I was a kid, the community was an entire hide and go seek community right there. I mean, you just went in everybody's yard and they were just like, oh, there's Kev, hey, he's behind the bushes. They would help you out, and like, hey, don't give me up like that. Nowadays, it's just getting nuts. And not to, I mean, that's just in around here, What about, we oftentimes feel like there's no hope. Like, you look at the world events that are going on and the wars and everything that's going on, and everybody's got nuclear warfare and even national, the national news in our country and stuff. But let's bring it even closer to home. Like, how many of y'all know we getting in hurricane season again? We getting in hurricane season, and not to mention that, but, right behind that, we often flood. We got the floods coming. I mean, look, I don't know about you guys, but the past couple of days of rain, I've been looking for gopher wood. Like, we fixing to start building an ark or something. That'll be about right. Yeah, the cult that starts building the ark. They already labeled me a cult, It's going to be, they're going to start building an ark now. We're not really building an ark, okay? But if I find gopher wood and it keeps raining. But we just live in a crazy world and a crazy time. And Matthew 24:12 says, the iniquity and lawlessness increase, and the people's love will grow cold. And look, we are seeing evidence of that. Like, nowadays we call evil good and good evil, and everybody's love for things is just getting colder and colder. And we oftentimes wonder, is this the end times? And to be honest with you, I really feel like we are living in the 9th month. I believe we are getting close to the end times. I don't know when it's going to be, but I do know this much. For everybody sitting in here, except maybe that little child and 1 or 2 other children, look, you're not going to live 100 more years, so this is your end time. Regardless, you're living in your last days. Some of us, a little less than others. All right, I turned 40 Monday, okay? I'm a little salty about it, especially because everybody keeps saying, ooh, you got a lot of gray hair. I'm like, oh, just shut up. I want to poke you in the eye. But for all of us here, you're not living another 100 years. We are living in our last days. And Jesus tells us about how we should live our life in crazy times. And he starts in Luke 17. And it says this, it says, and he said to his disciples, the day will come when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. They will say to you, look here, look there, do not go away, and do not run after them. For just like the lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky, shines to the other part of the sky, so will the Son of Man be in his day. But first, he must suffer many things and be rejected by his generation. And just as it happened in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. They will eat, and they were eating and they were drinking, they were marrying, they were being given in marriage until the day Noah entered the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same as happened in the day of Lot. They were eating and drinking and buying and selling. They were planting and building. But on the day that Lot went out from Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from the heaven and destroyed all of them. It will be just the same on the day of the Son of Man, the day that the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, the one who is on the housetop and whose goods are in the house must not go down to take them out. And likewise, the one who is in the field must not turn back. Whoever seeks to keep his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life will preserve it. Now, just want to say, it talks about Sodom and Gomorrah right there, and how it rained down. And in that passage, I don't know if I got the passage in there or not, but it even says, remember Lot's wife. Remember Lot's wife. Now, everybody knows the story of Lot's wife, right? Like they were heading out of Sodom. They weren't supposed to look back. She looks back and turns into a pillar of... Exactly. Everybody's with me. The Bible says, remember Lot's wife. You know, he does not say, and this is Jesus talking here. He doesn't say to remember any other woman. There are 170 women mentioned in the Bible, and she's the only one that we're told to remember. Remember Lot's wife. You know, we're not even told her name. We don't even know her name. We just know, remember Lot's wife. We know her as Lot's wife. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If this was me, and I was a woman in the Bible, and Jesus was mentioning this, if I was Eve, I would have been like, what are you talking about, Jesus? remember Lot's wife. I was the first woman in history. I came from a rib and I got blamed for all of humanity's problems. Why not remember me? I mean, there's Sarah. I would be upset if I was Sarah. I was like, are you kidding me? I popped out a kid at 90 with no epidural. Deborah. Deborah was the first woman judge in Israel. Why not remember Deborah? Of course, I mean, there was no man that would stand up worthy enough. They had to use somebody. We'll talk about that on Father's Day. What about Mary? I mean, if I would be Mary, I'd be like, Jesus, I gave you birth. I birthed you. And he doesn't even say to remember his own mother, but he said, remember Lot's wife. Why Lot's wife? Ezekiel tells us why. It says, behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had arrogance, abundant food, and careless ease. But she did not help the poor and needy. When they had brought them outside, one said, escape for your life. Do not look behind you and do not stay anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountain or you will be swept away. But his wife from behind him looked back and became a pillar of salt. Now I want to talk about something real quick. I want to go ahead and set some stuff straight. Why was Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? The answer in most places is their sexual sin. That's why they were destroyed. I would like to bring you back to verse 49. Behold, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant. They had abundant of food and careless ease, but she did not help the poor and the needy. The sexual sin was there, but he was more upset about them not helping the poor and the needy. They were only concerned about themselves. I'm going to be honest with you. We live in America where everybody is concerned about their own self and not anybody else. I called a friend of mine the other day. He got his tractor stuck and he had to leave to go out of town for a while. I called him up and he wanted to wash his tractor before he left. Didn't have time. I called him up and I said, hey man, I will go wash your tractor for you. He said, you don't have to do that. I said, no, I want to bless you. I want to go wash your tractor. I'm going to take a pressure washer. You don't worry about it. When you get back, it'll be done. I get there, crank the pressure washer up, turn the water on. There's no water. I'm like, this can't be happening. I go all the way back to the water meter, and at the water meter, the pipe is busted. So I take a picture of it. I send it to him. I said, hey, man, look, I'm going to come fix your water line. I don't know what happened. I'm going to come fix your water line, and then I'm going to pressure wash your tractor. He said, you don't have to do that. I said, oh, no. No. At this point, by now, no, I got to now. So I go back. I take my pressure washer, and I put it in my truck. And I break the wand. Clean in two. Don't ask me how I did it, but it broke. Clean in two. You got to be kidding me. So now I got to fix a water pipe and to get a new wand. When I set the pressure washer in the back of the truck, the wheel falls off and breaks. I'm like, God, you can't make this stuff up. And for a split second, I'm like, I wonder if I could just call the guy and tell him, you're right, I don't need to do this. I had a really good idea. It was the thought that counted. And go on about my business. I'm already in the hole financially to wash your tractor for you, who you got stuck. And all I was trying to do was be a blessing. God, I was just trying to be a blessing. Let me tell you something. When you decide that you're going to help other people, God will begin to put you to the test at where your heart is. This guy calls me up and he said, Kevin, I'm so sorry, man, all that took place. He said, listen, you don't have to wash my tractor. I said, oh, no, I do. Nope, at this point, it's a personal challenge. He said, well, Kevin, he said, I will pay you to fix the pipe. I will pay you to wash the tractor. I will pay you if you need a new pressure washer, I'll buy you a new pressure washer. The guy's a multimillionaire. I said, no, sir. A blessing is a blessing. And God will test where my heart is, and my heart is to bless you. And so this week coming, if we can hold the rain back, God, I've got to go wash that man's tractor. Pressure washer's ready. We live in a generation. People cannot understand why we do things for somebody else. Why would you do this for me? Because we live in a place that is no different than Sodom and Gomorrah right now. We have forgotten needs of others. And that's not what I'm preaching on this morning, but it is something that we need to look at as a church and a people of God, that we need to start looking at other people's needs and start putting other people ahead of us. So let's get back to the message. That was just a short, quick break. One thing that she had to do, the angels told her that they were actually touched by an angel. The angel grabbed them, led them out of the city and said, you guys go. Don't stay in the valley. Go to the mountains. When you get there, don't look back. Very simple, right? And if you do, there's consequences. Why do you think that she turned into a pillar of salt? Was it to remind us not to lose our saltiness? I don't believe that. I believe Lot's wife. The problem with Lot's wife was she was torn between where God was taking her and what she was leaving. I believe that there are many of us sitting in churches today, all over the place, that do not see the power of God in their life because they are torn between where God is taking them and where they are leaving. I believe she lost sight of God's promise, God's provision, God's purpose, and God's power. And she began to look at what she had most in there, in the city. Bottom line is, she loved what God did more than she loved what God's doing. There are many of us that are sitting in one place saying, if I could just go back in time, if I could be this again, this is where I was, this was my highlight at. Quit trying to live it through them. I believe that there's people that are stuck in what God did in their life. Yeah, it was amazing. It was wonderful. It was great. Move past it. Move on. You are so much more. God's trying to do something else in your life, but He can't do it because you're stuck back there. I'm going to go a little bit deeper with it. I believe there are whole churches that are stuck in what God did and cannot move forward in what God is trying to do. Well, my goodness, my granddaddy got saved, and I remember the time when my great-granddaddy got saved. They had a tent outside, they had a speaker come in, and he was a hellfire and brimstone type preacher, and we need to do that again. We need to have us a tent. That's what's going to get people. We need to have us a tent. We need to have us one of them good old-fashioned preachers. No, let me tell you something. That was great back then. God is doing some great things now. You're just too stuck back there to see what He's doing now. Oh, I'm preaching it now. God, may we never be a church like that. Look, God did some great things years ago. God did some great things a year ago in a building in Reeves. And I bless Him, I praise Him for it. But God is doing some even greater things right here in Kinder. And I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't left there and gotten here, you're missing out. Let me look into the camera and say that too, all of y'all that's sitting behind the camera. You're missing out. God's doing great things. The thing that I find, though, is oftentimes we beat ourselves up. As women of God, you beat yourself up because 3 years ago when I had everything going great in life and this was wonderful and that was great, I was on top of the world, and now I don't seem like I can even get my stuff together, and my kids are this and my kids are that and my husband's this and stuff. Look, I'm telling you right now, leave the past. God's trying to do something new in your life. You're not letting Him. She prioritized her past over God's future for her. Don't get stuck looking back. Pastor Todd has a saying that I love, and I love to repeat it. The best, it's yet to come. I mean, that might have been some good stuff, but the best is yet to come. So don't let what happened back then outweigh what God is doing in our future. Look, the next generation is watching you following God. If you're stuck in disappointment and you're stuck in unforgiveness and you're stuck in bitterness, they're going to see that mama can't get past. Look, I'm going to tell you, you know what kids want to see? Not that you got the laundry done and not that you got supper cooked and not that you're a super mom. They just want to see mama can leave what garbage was here and she's walking in what God is trying to do in her life. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. They want to see mama was jacked up and now God is doing something in mama's life and she's over here. They don't care if you're super mom or not. They just want to see that mama was this. Now mama's this. And she ain't looking back. Maybe we ought to bring that song back. I have decided to follow Jesus, no turning back. When we follow what God has for us, look, it's not behind us. It's always moving forward. So I want to know, what are you fixated on? Because when we get fixated, when we get so focused on something, instead of facing, when you get fixated instead of facing, when you're looking back at what took place, instead of facing what God is doing, I'm going to tell you right now, you will get stuck and you will stay stuck in life. That's why he says, remember Lot's wife. The Lord, in Deuteronomy, it says, the Lord is the one who goes ahead of you. He will be with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. The Lord's not going to fail you nor forsake you. But He will stay. You want to stay stuck right there, then that's where you're going to stay. Moving forward is not about God. Moving forward is about you. God's already there. God's already left even the good things. Even the things that you were on top of the world. God's already moved past it. God is looking like, are y'all coming? So moms, what do you believe? Do you believe that this is for you and your family? It says this in Proverbs, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. It's not a promise, but it's a really good principle. You want to see your kids, you want to be generational. Look, I'm going to be honest with you right now, like generational legacy mindset and everything is just on top of my brain right now. God has got me thinking that what am I leaving my kids and my kids' kids and all this stuff? What am I doing? Am I doing something that they're going to be able to walk into, or am I just living for me and myself? And here's what I want. I want to live a life that my son, who stands right here and plays this guitar, will be able to see through the good times and the bad. My dad never wavered. He never went left or right, and if he did, he always came back. He was right on. He was steady. He was steadfast. He moved forward, and he never stayed stuck in the past either. He was more concerned about what God is doing today than what God did yesterday. He remembered it. Hey, it's great to talk about God paid my light bill last month. I was all fortunate. I was glad. It's great to talk about that, but I don't get stuck in it. I remember what God did, so I know that if He did it back then, He will do it in the future. So are you looking to the future, or are you still looking in the past? And you know, some people say, yeah, but I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be 40 and be in a trailer house and be that's falling apart and not have anything. My vehicle's falling apart. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be a single mom. Well, what did you sign up for? Because I'm going to be honest with you. There's no mistakes with God. If you're a single mom, it's because He knew you could handle it. Just wanted to be sure. He knew you could handle it. So what did you sign up for? Did you sign up for a bed of roses, a perfect life? Because I know, you know, how many of you as little girls, and I don't know if y'all are going to raise your hand or not on this one, but if you want to, okay. How many of you, when you was little girls, you imagined what your life was going to be years down the road? I'm going to marry this kind of guy. He's going to look like this. He's going to talk like this. He's going to drive this. He's going to work here. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And you fixated yourself on what the perfect world would be. Then you got to that world, and it don't look nothing like what you fantasized about. Instead, you got the broke, busted, and disgusted. And now it's like, I don't feel like I can ever be more. I can ever be anything better. My kids look down on me. No, I'm going to tell you what. They don't look down on you because you're struggling. They look down on you because all you want to do is live in the past. You know, I heard something the other day, and this is so good and so relevant. And this is next week's message, but I'm going to say it this week. You only get out and you only break whatever you're honest with. Let me tell you something, mothers who struggle. You don't have to act like you're all together. You don't have to put on a fake front in front of your kids, in front of your husband, in front of people. You don't have to be fake. That's what people don't want to see. They want you to be real. Your kids, your family, your husband wants you to be real. When my wife comes up to me and she says, Kevin, I just can't do this anymore. We're gonna have to figure something out. Whatever it is, whether it's supper, clothes, kids, whatever, I am burnt out. I'm running on fumes. I want her to be honest. Where am I lacking at? Tell me. Where can I step it up at and be a better husband for you? Be a better father for them? But if all you do is say, I've got this, none of us know where to help at. So, he says in Luke 17, whoever seeks to keep his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life will preserve it. But we were hoping that it was He who was going to redeem Israel. Now here's what's happened. This is after the crucifix. This is after Jesus died. And they said, we were hoping that He was the one that was going to save Israel. Indeed, besides all this, it was the third day since things has happened. So the disciples are looking and they're like, well, we thought this is what was going to happen, but obviously it didn't. How many of you have been there in life? I thought by now this is where I would be, but I haven't. And they've lost hope. And so many of our moms these days are struggling with hope that things are going to get better and different. Hebrews says, let us hold fast to the confessions of our hope without wavering. For he who promised is faithful. Let me tell you something. You've got a God that is on your side. Next week's message, you're going to learn that God is not sitting in heaven saying, curse them, curse them. I'm going to throw a curse over here. They stepped out of line. There it is. That is not God. God is wanting more than anything for all of you to succeed. He's wanting you to be more than a conqueror, an overcomer. He says you are the first, not the last. You are the head, not the tail. You are so much more than what the enemy tells you you are. You are not dirt. You are not trash. You are not worthless. You are not hopeless. You are exactly what God designed you for. Life is hard. But with God, you can overcome all things. You can move forward. Do not be defined by what took place in the past, whether good or bad. Today is a new day. Tomorrow is another one. He's promised us that He will not leave us nor forsake us. He's going to be with you no matter in the good times and the bad. And so we have to begin to look and say, I am anchored in Jesus. Or am I wavering? Hebrews, he says, for this reason we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard so that we do not drift away from it. Look, when those times, when that enemy's in your ear, you got to remember what God said about you. You got to remember that, hey, look, when I feel like a failure, God says I'm not a failure. And you got to understand that your family doesn't see you as a failure. So I don't know how it is for women. But like for me, I oftentimes feel like my kids are judging me. Do y'all feel that? I mean, is that, or is it like, no, that's not me, that's not my. Okay, so I see heads doing this. I feel like they are. And so one day I took Chase, because Joa's just a whole hot mess. You can relate with Chase. Joa is not. And I said, Chase, I want to know something. I want to know, what is the best memory that you have with me? What is the best memory? And it was not when I bought him a four-wheeler. It was not when I bought him PlayStations. It was not when I bought him a bigger TV. It was not when I bought him guns or anything else. Blew my mind when he looked at me and he said, remember when we went fishing at Sunrise Catfish Pond? And if there's any royalties on that, because this is live, I want some. And we stood on the bank and we fished with some little bobbers, and I caught that big catfish, and you were so excited, and we were high-fiving and fist bumping and everything else. He said, that was a good day in my life. And he named another one, and nothing had anything to do with what I bought him or did for him or what I provided for him. Everything had to do with what we did together. The little things that we did, it might not have cost anything. It was the relationship and the memories. Look, I'm going to tell you something. It doesn't matter to those kids or your family if you give them anything else. What matters is that you spend time with them. By the way, this is a lesson that I'm learning in church also. I got to give it up to my team, the worship team, the serve teams. I mean, everybody that makes Sunday happen, I got to give it up to them because they're phenomenal teams. My teams have come to me and they said, you need to have more time to spend with people and less time worrying about all the little things that go on. And so my team has came up to me and said, we are going to free you up to be able to visit with people. And I'm like, my goodness, because that's what we need. So I got 5 minutes for each one up. And I'm like, man, that is so wonderful for me to be able to visit and get to know people and see where people's issues are and see what's going on in their life and help them. And I'm not stuck in here. It's the same thing with you and your family. They don't care about the clothes got washed, all this other stuff. They don't care I'm sure they want clean clothes, don't get me wrong. But they don't care that everything is spotless and in order and perfect. What they care about is the memories and the time together. So, how many of us are more concerned about getting likes from others more than being loved by Christ? How many of us are more focused on how many followers you have rather than following Him? Is your world more important to you than His kingdom? Do you post more than you pray? Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will make your path straight. In other words, follow Jesus. Like when we don't know what else to do, follow Him. In Matthew it says, then Jesus said to His disciples, if anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. I said last week, and I'm going to say it again, salvation is free, the kingdom is not. The kingdom requires sacrifice. You got to take up your cross. There are sacrifices to get the keys to the kingdom. To live the blessed, beneficial life that God has for all believers, it requires something of you. It is not for the casual. So my encouragement to you today, mothers, you're taking your children by the hand, whether you believe it or not, and you are leading them with what you say, with what you do, with how you act, with what you think. You're leading them. We're going to be talking next week about generational curses and stuff. Look, I'm going to tell you something. If your life is not what you wanted it to be, and you're teaching your kids that this is the new normal, don't be surprised when they're in the same place you are right now. At some point, somebody has to say, I am going to stand in the gap between this and this so my children don't have to walk this same path. So I ask, who are you following? Is it, I'm following God no matter what took place? Or is it I'm staying here because this is where my identity is? Look, as we wrap this up, I want to tell you something. Identity is not in what took place, good or bad. Because I believe there are some people that are stuck in the past because of issues that happened in their life that was negative, but some people are stuck in the past because that was the glory days for you. Your identity is not in what took place back then. Your identity is found in Christ and what God is doing today. Moms, you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be super mom. You just got to be present. Especially with our children. We need to be present with our families. Speak words of encouragement. Speak words of life. Follow what God is doing now and not what took place then. Remember, you are not known, you are not labeled, and you are not identified by the good or bad that has happened in your life in the past. It is what God is doing today and what He will be doing tomorrow. For me, I hope that this message really encourages you moms. That what the world says you have to be, what Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything else says that you have to be as a mother, because I'm going to tell you something, those highlight reels look really good. Like they got the perfect scenario, the kids are all dressed with their nice little ties on, and everybody's perfect in place and everything, and we've already photo cropped everything, and we've already gotten all the blemishes out, and we've done all this stuff. That is not real. That is life porn. It is a false image of what the real thing looks like. Because 5 minutes before that picture was took, those kids were up for adoption, I promise you. Your identity is not found in that, it's found in what God is doing today. So I hope you mothers have a wonderful Mother's Day. And I hope you leave here understanding and knowing that whatever it was back then, God is doing a new thing today. And today's over, tomorrow's a new thing also. So take the weight of the world off of your shoulders. And just understand that what they're looking for the love of mom. They're looking for the mom to make the scrape on the knee go away. They're looking for the memories. They're just looking for you to be present. And that's even in the family. Look, I don't want everything out of my wife. I just want her to be present. I'm not asking her to be perfect. Just present.